evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Sunday, September 26th. Almost had a lisp in there. September 26th, 2010. And this is Day 9 Daily number 187. My glasses are still broken. They're still broken. And I told you I'd fix them on Friday, and I went there, and the optical department closed. Because Costco closes at 8:30 generally. They generally close at like 8:30, and they said, don't worry, we're going to be open all day on Saturday. So I drove down there on Saturday again, and they just didn't have anyone there. So it's 2 trips to Costco I made this weekend to get my glasses fixed, and they're still broken. I feel horrible. I feel like I'm looking right into the camera and saying, no, baby, I meant to do something really nice to you for our anniversary. I feel like I messed up. Oh, God, the whole community's going to break up with me because of my ugly, hideously broken glasses. I know they're broken. I know. I deal with this every day. You know what happens sometimes when I'm doing dailies? For any of you who haven't seen these in the recordings, I take the glasses off and this ear just stays. This whole leg of the friggin' glasses. So I'm gonna try to do it Monday. I want to let you know, it's like my MO. It's like my primary thing. Everyone who's been donating as of late has been saying, hey, here's $5. Fix your glasses. And I'm like, oh, God, people are going to hate me. But either way, so I figured in return, because I have these little extra peripherals broken, I would have the snazziest peripherals of all time. Starcraft 2 sweatbands. I'm going to do the whole daily in these. I don't know if it's going to aggravate my carpal tunnel, or my cubital tunnel, or my Guillaume's tunnel, or whatever I'm experiencing, but you know what? I'm as cool as you get on the internet. So, in other bookkeeping news, today is Sunday, which means tomorrow is Fun Day Monday. So I want you to submit replays of you carrier rushing. That is, you are not allowed to make an expansion nexus until you've started producing a carrier. Send those replays to Monday at day9.tv. And then for Tuesday's Newbie Tuesdays, where I want you to send me replays of you losing to an early push. Not necessarily cheese, but just some early attack or cheese. And especially if someone messes with you a little bit early on, and you end up dying a little bit later because you are crippled. So send me those to Tuesday at day9.tv. Again, Monday at day9.tv. And then Tuesday at day9.tv. Yeah. So, in other bookkeeping news, Starcraft, let me try it again, Blizzard, who made Starcraft, made a little bit of an announcement about patch 1.2, that they have a whole bunch of cool features that they want to put in there, that it's going to be like their esports-related patch. And for any of you who are freaking out about patch 1.1, going, oh my god, they changed things by 5 seconds, why don't Blizzard spend all day reading teamliquid.net? I honestly don't mind the slowness of the changes, because for any of you who, well, actually, I know a lot of you did not grow up on StarCraft the way I did, like original StarCraft, but there were minor changes, and then a slew of giganto ones. Or for any of you who are into Warcraft 3, Reign of Chaos, and then Frozen Throne, huge change. So I'm not stressing too much, and I'm most excited at the fact that they said that they're going to try to put in chat channels. So I'm excited about that. Anyways, we're going to look at some Terran versus Protoss games today. I'm just going to crack my neck a little bit to make sure that I am appropriately prepared for this. But there's this kind of funny thing that happens to people psychologically, which is that a lot of times people have the basic competitive psychology of, I don't ever want to lose, so I'm only going to do what I'm good at. I notice I'm too high. Coming back down. By the way, I'm wearing my USC esports shirt. Yeah, esports and StarCraft 2 sweatbands. So, a lot of people have the usual competitive psychology of, I just don't want to lose ever. So, I am only going to do what I'm good at. They will have one strategy, and they will rely on that strategy way too long. And a lot of the higher competitive players do have this tendency to do the exact opposite. I know I do that personally, which is whenever I have something where I'm losing a lot, that makes me angriest, and I practice that the most. If I'm losing a Zerg versus Terran, you saw me do a daily a while back where I just want to do lots of Zerg versus Terrans, and I only showed you a fraction of the sort of effort I put into trying to improve that matchup. I even devoted 2 whole dailies to it, because I really just don't want to lose at that anymore, right? So I started focusing a ton on my Zerg, and suddenly I realized that I wasn't looking at my Terran versus Protoss at all, which is going to be the topic of today, or really most of my Terran matchups. And that's sort of a funny thing that is also a really big trap not to fall into that I do way too often, which is that you tend to ignore the thing that you're supposed to be good at and focus on your weak points. And then suddenly, your weaknesses become your strong points, and you're just left with this shitty thing that people are supposed to say is good. So in this case, you get a lot of players who neglect their Terran play because they just say, oh, well, Terran's imba, so I don't need to worry about it. Always good to practice a lot. Whether Terran are truly the most imbalancedly strong race or not, you still need to sit down and work at it a lot because there are damn good Protosses and Zergs out there who will definitely threaten you quite a bit. So we're going to go ahead and look at some games today, and I want to talk a little bit about the sort of stuff I'm looking for. This is going to be a very short game that we're going to blast right through before we really start analyzing a strategy. There's always big concerns I have when I'm watching games. This is part of the reason why I watch lots and lots of replay when I want to work on one matchup. And when I say lots of replays, you're noticing I'm not like times twoing this. I'm actually trying to go through it relatively quickly. I just want to get a sense of if he's doing something I like. I mean, for instance, like AugustWeRRa. Has anyone seen AugustWeRRa play? I mean, yeah, I know the GSL videos are there, and I know that WeRRa is a pretty good clan. But do you trust AugustWeRRa? I mean, like, I don't mean like, would you let your daughter go out to eat with AugustWeRRa? No, I mean, like, do you know for a fact if his play is necessarily good or not? Probably not. I recognize the name, but I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon right away. I mean, even players like Huck, who are super good, occasionally are doing games where he's trying to figure out a new strategy, or maybe just has a game where he doesn't play very well because his brain's off or something like that. So it's okay to just go through it kind of fast and decide whether or not you like it. Like you saw me in the Zerg vs Terran games that I did earlier with Damaga. I was doing it really slow, and I was like constantly going back to check and compare to build timings. I'm not going to do that right now. I want to get a broad, vague sense of what people are kind of doing. So this first replay that we're going to look at of 3 is an example of the kind of thing that I want to look for. Because right now, Terran vs Protoss, I'm going to assume I'm an idiot. I want to get any sort of technique possible. So what I'm seeing is a 3 barracks early stim play, which is very common after players do something like Reapering, which we see he's clearly doing. He's getting a second gas kind of quickly. This is a funky thing that I've seen this replay before, so I'm just going to tell you right off the bat. AugustWeRRa does a cool thing where he puts guys in gas to get all the necessary upgrades and necessary add-ons he needs. Then he just pulls the guys right off gas again because, for instance, here comes a reactor very, very quickly. Here comes another tech lab very, very quickly. So anytime I'm watching a replay of any race, I always say to myself, does this have a good next step? And this causes a little bit of fear for me because I'm saying, oh, geez, 3 barracks aggression? Does that really have a solid next step? Could I potentially be in a situation where I'm only making out of all these barracks? And I'm actually going to have them selected as I kind of just glance around. Oh, noticing that this guy isn't producing. Kind of want to make sure that that's constantly producing. I'm just looking at the basic build order, basic opening. Yeah, Choya is doing something pretty standard. Choya's actually doing something very Huck-like in nature, doing the very fast observer, look at the good observer scout pattern. Oh my goodness, destructible rocks are going down. But I'm noticing little things like Choya's money's building up. Choya's money's doing something kind of nice. So that means he's going to be able to get money to do other things with. If his money was constantly at 0 and he wasn't doing anything else, I'd kind of be like, ugh, that'd be a little bit disappointing. But hey, I see the command center going down. So this is an example of a kind of build I might want to steal. I'm just going to blast right through this part so we can get to the juicy replays of today. But I'm seeing this sort of thing, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is something kind of nifty. This is great. Oh, it looks like Protoss did manage to hold on. And Protoss probably would have been able to hold on easily if, he'd maybe not skipped a production cycle on the warp gates. Everything's dead from AugustWeRRa, and it does take quite a bit of time to rebuild that strength of force. But too often what happens is when you're watching a player do this sort of strategy, this 3 barrack strategy, is that he just suddenly is screwed now. He doesn't have this command center coming. He isn't saving up to build a factory. He's just not really had that many SCVs, and he's basically dead. And that would be an example of a really bad opening. And if at this point in the game, if I were at this point in the game and I didn't see this, and I didn't see this, I would probably just ditch the game completely. I wouldn't even think a second thing of it, because I want to see a game that has a good long-term plan. Now, I'd also like to state for the record, I'm the sort of player that almost always favors getting a faster expansion. 3 barracks feels like, oh, that's so many barracks. I'm more of a 1 barracks expand, or 2 barracks expand. I'm not really like a 3 barracks, and then factory, and then starport, and then expand. But that's okay. I could throw out any games of people not doing fast expands. I could throw out any games of people not doing some sort of early aggression. Feel free to throw out games that don't attune to your style. Definitely throw out a game that doesn't have a long-term game plan in it. But I want something that not only has lots of next steps, but fits in with a way that makes me happy. Because why the hell would I want to play a race like a robot and just be miserable all day long? That doesn't sound like being a real nerd to me. And I like the fact that AugustWeRRa is not being too aggressive. He's just sort of holding back. Going to continue to blast through this replay. Oh, that's interesting. Going for a really fast starport. Now, this is something that, as I blast through this replay, I just want to say something very basic about his gameplay. He's opting for getting a super crazy amount of medevacs. He's getting a reactor on that starport. Not going to do anything gentle like Braddock would do, which is 1 medevac at a time. He's just getting the medevacs out fast and sticking with a little bit smaller of a force. Sometimes you see people, after they expand, get like 3 more barracks and just go insane barracks numbers. But it looks like AugustWeRRa has held it off quite well. And I want you to just see how pretty that basic game plan was. Just very, very pretty. Aggression, and after he gets the expansion up, just pulls back because he knows he's way ahead. Now, if I liked that game, if I'm crippled in Terran vs. Protoss and I'm looking for new, nifty ways to play, if I liked that game, I would then go back through it and then start really looking at his timings, trying to figure out when exactly did he attack, how much of that attack had to do with the fact that it was scrap station and not temple, and that sort of thing. So what I want to do is look at some games between Jimpo and Adel. These 2 games, games 1 and 4, are the ones I'm going to be focusing on. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into these games. We're going to start looking a little more in-depth into a build order that I want to begin experimenting with. Terran vs. Protoss. Now, traditionally, I like the Chthon Lux style, which is the 1 barracks expand. I also like the 1-1-1 style. I also occasionally like doing some very funky Raven stuff. But we're going to see out of Jimpo is some cool ghost stuff. So what happened to me when I first watched this game? Game 1 I have seen, Game 4 I have seen the very start of. So this game I have a good sense of what happens. When I was first watching this game, I was going through it about this pace. There's the Marine coming down, there's the Command Center, there's the Supply Depot, okay, here's the Tech Lab. This is what I do every game. This is actually what 99% of Terran players do in their games when they're going for, you know, fast Tech Lab. And then I saw a Reaper go down, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. By getting the Reaper, it frees up a little more money so we can get a faster second barracks. Okay, that's cool. I'm sort of on board with that. We saw that last game, so I'm just going to speed it up. And there's a very fast gas, so I was a little bit taken aback by that. It looks like another Marine coming out. Looks like more depots going down. Really fast bunker. I was feeling a touch lost. I was feeling a little bit confused. Here's the reactor going down. This mix of the 1 barracks with the reactor or the 1 barracks with the tech lab gets you a reasonable army off 1 base. And then I saw the Ghost Academy going down, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool stuff. I want to see exactly how this goes. So I'm not even looking really so much at what Protoss is doing. I might even go to the Jimpo cam to get a real good sense of what he's seeing and what he might choose to do or not do. I'll go ahead and leave it on the Jimpo cam since I'll be looking at his base for most of the time. And I'm seeing, okay, so he's going for this sort of, it looks like some ghost. Okay, and there's a combat shield upgrade, and he might be getting another ghost coming up right now. And, you know, there's a few things that I would note here that I would really like to note timing-wise. I'm noticing, for instance, right when this ghost started, we had so much money, right? We had 300 minerals. Look at this. Right as the Ghost Academy finishes, or excuse me, we had 300 gas. We only need 150 to make a ghost. So I'm kind of like, oh man, that's a little bit too early for a ghost. Now, that's just because I've played StarCraft for like 12 years, and anytime I'm only going for one type of gas unit, and I have excess gas, my whole body just goes, ugh, and I just want to vomit. I get revolted. I get upset because I think, ooh, are we getting too much gas too early? Let's smooth that out. That's my instinct. I'm going to throw that out. I'm going to throw that out the window because I am trying to find a cool style and some cool decision making before I really want to get down into the real dirt and find out exactness to it. Because honestly, if he's doing something really shitty, like aside from whether I think it's cool or not, if it sucks and he's losing a lot with it, I'm not going to try to find the timings out with it. I'm not going to delve deep into the ways to be optimally 0-10 in this matchup, right? I really, really am not going to worry too much about it. If I see something horrendous like 1,000 minerals up here, then I'll give him some allowances with the strategy. I'll try to rethink of it in those terms. But, you know, here I'm just generally noting that he is kind of turtling, getting kind of a fast factory. It's actually quite fast, given the fact that he's going for a little bit more of a barracksing army. And he's making lots of Marines, he's getting upgrades, he's queued up Stim, you know how much I hate queuing. That's very grody. He does have this Reaper up on the high ground. Oh yeah, now I'm starting to see, that's a nice touch that he did, getting that first Reaper. We saw this on Scrap Station, but as we can clearly see on Kulas Ravine, this helps us plenty, plenty, plenty. And he hasn't seen really much of anything. He's just going to kind of be holding back. And this is this first game I actually intentionally chose. Sure, it's the first game in this series, but he has his SCVs moving to the front because he's seeing more and more and more troops move forth. He's seeing, okay, the Stim's getting researched. Still, I'm seeing so much gas, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. I'm just going to speed forward a little bit. He's seeing more units get warped in. He's poking out. He sees that that extra pylon getting thrown down. I'm actually going to see if I can turn off the health bars for a moment here, because really this health bar stuff can be very, very exciting when you're there to go, oh, I see that this unit has weak health, so I'm going to go ahead and hit that one. But for purposes of really seeing the way that armies are going to arrange themselves, I'm going to hold it off for this first basic encounter, and notice that it's really just one ghost. One ghost in this whole friggin' mix of stuff. And there's the starport coming out. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I'm starting to... I really feel like this is smart that he's holding back with the... that he's holding back for so long, because he just sees nothing but units coming in. He's seen warp gates active. He's seeing, you know, this pylon right outside his base. But this Void Ray actually comes as quite a big surprise. This Void Ray is actually hanging out over here. And when I first saw this replay, I thought, oh, awesome. He's up against something that I have lost to stupidly. How often have you, as a Terran player, playing your imbalanced race, making your Marauders that are the imbalanced unit, and then all of a sudden a Void Ray comes in and immediately wins? Like, I'm not talking chips away and does damage, but it's like you see the Void Ray and you're just like, time to make Marines one at a time and pray for the best, and it just doesn't work out. So when I see this, especially, not the fact that it's just a Void Ray, but that it is a surprise Void Ray. Look at the Jimpo cam. This is his first viewing of this Void Ray. I just want to really see how this ends up turning out for him. So I'm going to go ahead and continue to resume this replay. It's going to be a little bit slower than normal. There's a very nice EMP. And we're going to see in just a moment another very nice EMP just getting blasted down there. Now, not any target firing really going down on the Void Rays. They're happy to charge, but there's actually not even any stim by Jimpo. Yeah, now he target fires one Void Ray, but only when there were 2 gateway units left over. My gosh, that is a really, really, really strong defensive opening. That's getting me excited, right? That's making me go, wow, that would easily hold off 4 Warp Gate. I just saw it easily held off this Stargate. How many Warp Gates are there? Yeah, 3. I mean, if there was a 4th Warp Gate instead of that one Stargate, yeah, it would not even be close. So, defense-wise, I'm digging this. And look, we have medevacs slowly coming out one at a time. Our Ghost is doing a good bit of assistance in this little push. We have the SCVs marching forward. This is a good little push we have going on. I'm also starting to note that the money is continuing to build up. Our money's building up. We saw that in the first game. I don't want any strategy where Jimpo's committed to doing any sort of damage, where he, like, has to all in or he's done. I want something that has a next step, and here is the next step. After this little push, we're going to have a nice, juicy command center. So great. Wow, I'm really thinking that this is a build that I want to explore more, that I really want to start checking out. And I'm going to go ahead and just gently speed things up so that way we can get to the second replay that I haven't actually seen. Whoa, hey, this is awesome. Look at how versatile this is. We don't even need to hit this expansion. We can easily just drop into the main. This is a very aggressive... I'm actually kind of surprised at how aggressive you can be with this build. I mean, you have... assuming you don't EMP yourself there. That was a little bit golden. But, you know, EMPing Phoenixes. Oh, yeah, that's another great thing to note. For any of you who play against Noni, a.k.a. Liquid Tyler on the ladder, he's really good at, like, Phoenix Stalker usage early on. One EMP cuts the Stalkers out of the battle. Or, excuse me, cuts the EMPs out of the battle entirely. That's kind of cool. So in this game, I'm seeing that we can hold off the Void Ray, because we literally just saw it hold off. We can hold off the 4-gate. I am theorizing about some sort of Phoenix opening that Protoss could do. And if he's getting a lot of Stalkers and Phoenixes, yeah, EMP the Phoenixes, no energy. It's starting to feel good against a lot of possibilities. Colossus, I'm probably a little worried about. I'm just going to put that aside for now. I'd probably have to do a lot more thinking on that. But this is feeling pretty good. The main thing that really made my heart leap with joy was the last 2 minutes of this game that I closed. So I'll have to just repeat it. In the last 2 minutes of the game, we saw as Terran pushed out, he planted a command center. Good. If his attack fails, he has an expansion up. And the fact that he has EMPs and medevacs for healing with a lot of Marines. He's pushing out kind of early before there's actually going to be a lot of stuff. And he can move around with the medevacs. Oh, yeah. All right. That's a brutal 11-minute push. That is sick. That's going to do a lot of damage to a Protoss player who isn't very, very, very careful with how he's controlling his army and what sort of setup he's doing. Now, you would generally hear me say things like, go into an editor, practice it on your own, rewatch the replay, and develop really great timings. It's a lot of, you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And I think that's great. You should definitely try out a lot of stuff, but never neglect the fact that we saw Jimpo do it in this game. Why not see if Jimpo does it more? Which, in fact, he does. So we're going to see this. This is yet another game between their series. I think this was for Craft Cup or Go for SC2. One of those good, consistent major tournaments. This is Delta Quadrant. It's a different map, but most one-basing styles can be bent to function on most maps. So I don't mind that we're going to end up seeing Jimpo do the same thing. So in my replay analysis, I actually watched a couple other games of Jimpo. There was a game that we actually saw in Dan Daly number 186 where he went for some big Marine Marauder push without ghosts. I saw that replay, didn't think a second thing of it, just went ahead and jumped directly into these next games. Because I was really looking for that build, or just more stuff that I liked. And by the way, this is after I'd probably watched maybe 10, 15 Terran vs. Protoss games. I just want to see some trends of what people are doing on average in the matchup. And this is something that really stuck out to me as both strong and awesome. So there's the second barracks going down. It looks like he delayed the second barracks so that way this prober wouldn't see it. Moving around Jimpo's base, I'm not seeing that super early gas go down yet. Yeah, there's, again, pretty damn early gas. He's building the supply depot in the warp-in spot. Again, notice you can build a pylon here and you can warp in. An aspect unique to Delta Quadrant, but build isn't changing. Just placement of buildings is changing to account for these possibilities. Not going to do anything too incredibly nutso. Looks like he's getting the reactor. And hey, this Ghost Academy is looking a little bit early timed. I would even go so far as to say we could begin getting a combat shield research. See, I'm starting to do gentle optimization here. I mean, I can see that if we start combat shield or stim right now, we're still going to have enough money to churn that ghost out. Oh yeah, look, and the combat shield does go down. Yeah, look at that, 0 gas. I'm liking that, cool. So I can take the decision making that we saw in the first game that Jimpo did with the ghosts, And we can still use that and still rely on that, but we can also use the great slick timing that it seems he's used in this second game. Yeah, look at all those resources nice and juicy and low. And look, right as he gets 100 gas, come on, build a factory. Yeah, oh yeah, look at that low money. All right, that's making me happy. I don't even care if it's a good build or not. That is just awesome when you have something that crisply timed. And meanwhile, Adelscott looks like he's going for the usual expo at the back door. On this map, works out quite nicely after 2 gate openings. Works out very, very smoothly. Looks like Stim getting queued up. You know that I do not like Stim, that I have a natural gut aversion to it. Reaper maneuvering around. And, you know, there's a quite significant difference between this game and the last game. In particular, if we go to the Jimpo cam, he's pretty damn well aware that this expansion's going down, because, you know, he's even seen that there are no destructible rocks here. He saw all these units wailing away at it. Has he seen the Robo? Yeah, he's seen the Robo. I mean, in the last game on Kulos Ravine, he saw big Warp Gate units moving out. He saw no attempts to expand, and he was even hopping up and down the cliffs with that Reaper. He didn't see a Robo. He just saw 2 naked gateways. That seems very, very suspect. So, as a result, he ended up playing very defensively. And so that's always a big question I have with a build like we're seeing that Jimpo did. Sure, it seems to hold off a lot of things defensively, but if we're too defensive, if we make too many bunkers and camp up right here on our high ground too long, our opponent has free reign to do whatever he wants. And it looks like Jimpo is doing just a combat shield marine push. Now, I as a Brood War player, am terrified to move out with Marines unless I have Stim. I know how badly that goes because I played Zerg for a million years. Whenever you see, like, unstimmed Marines, you just go, you get your chocolate syrup and you just put it on top of the Marine group. It's not going anywhere. Can't stim and avoid that syrup. And then your Zerglings, oh, it feels so good. But look at this great push that's coming in right now. Interestingly enough, the big scary unit is going to be the Zealots in this push. Notice that Ghosts do a lot of damage to light. They do 20 damage to light. They're basically like Marauders, except they do their damage to light units. So I'm actually going to hold down my health bar button, and we're going to see, look, the EMP gets thrown down very, very nicely, hits the Zealots. Didn't actually go for the Stalkers, because at this point, the Marines are going to be able to do pretty damn well. Trying to advance forward, some good micro by Adele, warping in Stalkers. Zealots, like I said, are the damage dealer, but Stalkers do have that range advantage. So in small numbers, people do like getting plenty of Stalkers. And this push is doing a decent bit of damage. It didn't completely fail. It didn't completely win. But hey, Jimpo is continuing to be able to be aggressive. And even getting some Hellions in there, that's a very nice use of that factory. This is like total all-out aggression. This is, if you think about it, this is the same looking push that we had earlier. We have Ghosts, we have Marines, we don't quite have Stim yet. We got some Hellions in there, but you know, this basic core is the same, except upon seeing this strategy, it accelerated rapidly, like really rapidly. He could begin pushing out. Now, I just want to back up and discuss that concept of like linchpin units and timing pushes. So here's a very simple example. If you know that detection is a problem, you're probably going to have to wait for a Raven before you move out as Terran. Or, let's actually just do Protoss versus Protoss. Yeah, if my opponent Dark Templar rushed, and I made a forge and cannons and barely held off the DTs, I have to wait until that observer finishes for me to push. Everyone gets that. I need the observers to see the Dark Templar. That's obvious. But there are occasionally kind of like key support units that make a push possible. For instance, there's this Marine tank push you can do against Protoss that really needs to wait until the Raven has 100 energy so it can throw down a point defense drone and absorb damage from Stalkers. So there's the idea of the Observer in the DT case, or the Raven in the early push case. There's something that you kind of really need for the push to happen. So in my eyes, and probably in a lot of people's eyes, they will see this medevac and the way it worked on Kulos Ravine to bolster all these forces. Or for me, another big key is I really feel like I need this Stim to finish. In the Observer case, it's obvious that the Observer needs to finish, but in this medevac, in the Stim pack case, it makes me kind of feel, I'm not positive, but my gut tells me I should probably have to wait. But Jimpo totally demonstrates the flexibility of this strategy. You don't need Marines and Ghosts with Stim and Medevacs. You can just push with Marines and Ghosts. Alright, nice. That is cool. That is great news to know. And look, doing this nice contain, same good bit of harassment. Hey, remember how I was saying I was worried about Colossus? Looks like we're going to get a chance to see how this build flexes in this circumstance. He gets the nice EMP off, but he just stims and runs back, and meanwhile does some counter-aggression. Now, I have not actually seen this far into this game. Oh, yeah, there's the juicy command center going down. That's making me happy. We're seeing more Marines get made. And this is something that I think many Ghost users kind of steered clear from. They just went ahead and were like, Marauders, Imba, I shall make Marauders. But players like Braddock have been doing a little bit more Marine Ghost stuff. As we can see, yeah, Colossus would be listed as the counter unit for Marines, as we can clearly see by this little pile of rubble. But they can do a decent amount of damage, and it looks like, has that drop been held off? Yeah, adequately well. In this circumstance, ooh, this is not looking good in the slightest. Looks like that Marauder barely got up there in time. And oh my goodness, I have no idea how this game continues to go on any longer at all. Oh my god, oh my goodness, holy crap. Oh, well, you know what, this is something that I've seen from Jimpo in many, many games. I have seen a lot of this queuing stuff going on. A lot of this queuing going on. So, you know, at this point, I know what you're thinking. This is so fortuitous that this is happening, because a lot of people will look at this game, and, I mean, Jimpo is really close to losing there. Like, really close to just having it be GG's end of tournament life situation. But looks like he's going to stay on a little longer. But let's suppose for a moment that he died there. People will look at that and go, well, I'm not doing no stupid Marine Ghost medevac strategy. If he gets a Colossus, game's done. It's over. But don't abandon something that was so good in so many spots so quickly. Don't abandon it. That's what people do, is especially after 2 or 3 games of their own experience. They'll be like, oh, I still can't beat Colossus, so I guess I'm not doing this anymore. And I guess this matchup's unfair. I guess Protoss are better than Terran. No. I am starting to see things like right now. This is going to be me now not just appreciating Jimpo's decision-making and trying to discover what Jimpo's decision-making was or is. It's going to be me actually trying to think of what I would do here to better this situation. So in my eyes, I'm thinking, well, hell, if we saw a Robo come out, maybe I should really be getting this reactor add-on at this factory a lot earlier, so I can actually throw out some Vikings. I'll actually probably do a recap of this game at the end, but I'm just going to keep progressing here. I'm just thinking that, hey, you know what, maybe we could have gotten this starport with the Vikings out a little faster. Still relied on our Marines and our Ghosts, but had those Vikings out to deal with the one Colossus. Because it was just one Colossus that was out at that point in time. It wasn't a huge number. So here comes Adelscott, just getting, I would say, a little over-eager here. He was at a huge lead and is saying, well, yeah, I guess I may as well just try to go in here for the kill, but of course, Marines and Marauders, when controlled well, do so much damage. Yeah, look at that, just shutting that down. Does he have concussive shell? Oh, yeah, looks like he only just started it, so the retreat is okay for Adel there. And continuing to mule away. Looks like he's gearing up to take this expansion. I would not be a fan of taking this one, just because the Colossus can literally just walk up and harass you. This makes things a little bit easier, even though it might feel a touch more vulnerable. So this is an advantage to doing this build, is that we can do these sorts of harassment drops. Now, aside from me trying to learn Terran versus Protoss at all, and trying to learn openings and trying to learn transitions, doing what I would call a naked drop like this is completely naked. There's nothing scary out here to draw Protoss away. There's no reason for Protoss to really do anything but sit on his ass, waiting for some sort of drop to swing into the back of his base. Because Delta Quadrant is I personally think this is really dumb that there's this much space on the outside of, like, all the mains. Because that is the design of this map. It means that this medevac can just waltz right in here completely undistracted, completely unrepelled or whatever. But this is the sort of drop you really do not want to do, because this did so little damage. You want to do something like push out here, and then he gets scared and moves his forces here, and then you drop in the back. And contrary to what I just said, it looks like he is, looks like Jimpo's just going to go ahead and take that Destructible Rock Expo that would have me in a big panic. Looks like more transition back to Marauders. Very smart. Marauders are just absolutely fantastic against Colossi. Really, they can just kite them so well and just sort of, or not kite, but just sort of dart around. Yeah, the good old range 6 unit kiting the range 9 unit. You know how they do it. But I'm going to go ahead and just speed things forward a little bit. Jimpo's not looking as comfortable as before. Not making use of any ghosts, and really this is like the most traditional mix of units in Terran vs. Protoss. Marine Medevac, Marauder, and then Vikings to kill them Colossi. I want to see how this ends up extending out. Sometimes these naked drops can be good to help keep an expansion alive, but they're very, very dangerous. You gotta be super careful about them. And it looks like Adele's just being smart. He's upgrading. He's continuing to defend these. Yeah, he's got a cannon here. Yeah, it looks like he's setting up to do some more expanding. Oh yeah, placing pylons out in nice spread out fashion. There's the drop. If this kills the Nexus, I will cry. Tears are flowing down my face. Uh-oh, drop got killed. I'm actually very curious about the resource distribution now. Yeah, oh my god, look at that. 124 to 80. This, killing off the Nexus, feels very good. Feels exciting. Oh, that feels fantastic. But you lost so many units there, and Adele literally is 100% positive that he can push out here and that there is no counter medevac drop coming. Looks like he is leaving some units behind. He's leaving some Stalkers. Looks like he was rallied back here, but either way, Jimpo is just looking not so good. Trying to speed ahead so we can do a little rewatch of this game, but yeah, this is just not going to happen. He lost just too many units in that drop. So this is what's really good about this game. Way too often, once again, people watch a game of someone losing in a way that seemed easy for the opponent, and they just say, okay, well then that strategy sucks. But I've seen this go strategy before. I actually saw it in the last game on Kulas Ravine, so I'm not giving up on it yet. Because if a build like what Jimpo did can be that good against a variety of stuff, oh, excuse me, wrong overlay. I'm actually going to speed forward a little bit. If it can be that good against other aspects of Protoss play, if it can be good against cheeses, then I'm not going to abandon it just because it seemed to be very weak against the Colossus. Because if it's super weak, then a lot of times it means that you can make some reasonable adjustments to be able to make it, at the very least, hard to deal with as opposed to impossible to deal with. So this is what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm thinking about how this starport could have maybe been making some Vikings a little bit earlier. Let's actually go to the Jimpo camp. Yep, he's killing off these destructible rocks, but looks like he knows there's an expansion, and he just went for it. That was very clearly a planned move, because he was shooting at this, and he saw something that made him go, oh yeah, better just go ahead and pull out, and go for the win, baby. And now we're starting to see some Hellions getting produced here. Part of me might say something like, right now, why don't we make a reactor here? That way, sure, we can get one medevac out, but if we see any sort of Colossus, we can do a full-out retreat and have 2 Vikings up very, very quickly. So here comes the push. Advancing up, looks like Reaper at the back ended up dying. Was that a Reaper? Is it still here? No. Looks like this attack is doing pretty damn well. Yeah, it looks like still Hellions and medevacs being made. Now, just for the record, this is always when it's good to use your little time. So that's a reactor that takes 50 seconds to build. How far are we from the Colossus being done? Wow, Colossus haven't even started, and it takes 75 seconds to build. Yeah, we could easily have the ability to produce double Vikings in just a moment. It's starting to feel like a fundamentally important part of this build is just getting a reactor there. And so what I've done is I've taken this opening that Jimpo's done. I'm basically going to steal it. I'm basically going to completely mimic it, and without any real deviation. And I'm going to slap on what I think is a good friggin' solution. Yeah, look at all this queuing up. Oh, by the way, count with me. 50, 100, 150, 200. What was I at here? Oh, yeah, it was a 200, 250, 300, 400, 100. So right now, we could have started a command center and had money left over. That's why you don't queue. And we probably could have had an eBay down. And we probably could have made a reactor on this and already been heading towards the starport. That is why it's so important not to queue. Just as a brief little interjection there. And I'm thinking without this queuing, yeah, you know what? Yeah, this push is feeling awfully frightening. But, how about this? As we're doing this push, why not have our Reaper pop up here and scout around the base? Has he seen that? No, yeah, he did see it. Yeah, he totally should have been preparing for that. And you know what? I wouldn't so much, because, you know, like, your typical observer loves being the genius and loves going, "Oh, Jimpo, you're such an idiot. Why did you not just get the Vikings?" And although that's really, really fun to do, what's exciting about this is that Jimpo lost because, okay, now look at this. Imagine for a moment if this push was coming, but there are also 2 Vikings. Imagine if he had actually not tried to engage right here. He had just done a very nice spread and gotten that good EMP off, and there were 2 Vikings wailing away at that. Would have been the exact same unit mix, would have had the exact same amount of money, could have done everything that he was originally doing, but look, this reactor would have been out way earlier. So hey, cool, ladies and gentlemen, I now have a Marine Ghost strategy that I'm in the mood to try out in Terran vs. Protoss that will allow me to early push, allow me to hold off all sorts of good shenanigans that could potentially happen, and most importantly, if I see Colossus, which seems to be the logical response, I have a really cool way that I'm going to get a reactor out to possibly get some Vikings up. Now it's time for me to call my friend Tristan after this and say, "Hey Tristan, time for you to be my practice monkey," and I will just tell him to Colossus rush and all that good jazz and see how it holds up. But that, I think, is a good sign of a solid build, is one that seems to crush a lot and then have some very unique problems that it has. Because there's obviously no build that's amazing against everything, because if there was, then everyone would just do that one build. There are varieties. If you go for really fast tanks and expand, you auto-win against like 4 warp gate pushes, and you auto-win against lots of people who are trying to do one base stuff for too long. But you struggle with the people who are expanding way too much. Or if you are doing this ghost strategy, you are going to be, really good against people who try to expand a little bit too fast. But you're going to be weaker against people who go for this fast Colossus sort of stuff. You know, there's just these trade-offs with the strategies. So that's why I like looking at these that I clearly know are great in some circumstances, because there actually are builds that are awful against everything. So I want to avoid those. I want the ones that are pretty damn good to begin with, so I can already begin pretty far down the problem-solving queue when I actually begin hammering away at some thoughts. So, again, my glasses are... Oh, God, I'm going tomorrow. That's like the first thing. I'm going to, like, wake up. I'm actually... You know what? They fell a little bit farther than I thought they would, but I'm going to wake up at, like, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Maybe I'll play some Minecraft to help wake me up. And by the time it's 2 p.m., I've decided to stop playing Minecraft. I'm going to go to Costco. I'm going to get those glasses fixed, and I am going to do the Fun Day Monday reps. My thought was interrupted by the thought of buying a gallon of soy sauce, because I love marinating steak. So as I pick up my glasses, therefore enabling me the ability of reading, I will go ahead and take some questions. Once again, the email for Fun Day Monday is monday@day9.tv, and Newbie Tuesday reps are Tuesday at day9.tv. And of course, happy birthday to Greetorp. He turns 12 today. Very, very delighted that Greetorp is having a birthday, because he is awesome. So let's see here. Pasta Diablo says, Day 9, you say that when you play, you like to focus on practicing just one strategy in one matchup over and over again. When playing on the ladder this way, how do you handle the different possible matchups? Have one build for each that you want to work on? Yes, I do. Now, I play randoms, that's 9 matchups to worry about, and to be entirely honest, it would be awfully drab if I were doing one build in each matchup, constantly trying to get better. You'll hear a big theme in what I say. I love improving. I love learning. I love trying to be the best gamer. But for God's sake, we play this game to have fun, alright? So, for instance, for me right now, I can tell you, in PvT, there's a build that I do a lot of repetition with. I work on a lot. In Protoss vs. Zerg, I have a basic idea I'm playing with, and I'm trying different builds to see which best satisfies that idea. Zerg vs. Zerg, I have a really good build sorted out. Terran vs. Protoss, I've just been kind of doing whatever the hell I want, especially in Terran vs. Zerg too. I'm really just experimenting. I'm saying, I wonder how this feels. I wonder how it feels to get a really fast Raven in TVZ. As it turns out, horrible, because I'm not so good at that matchup. And so, for instance, if you play one race, if like let's say you're a Terran player, you can do something like say, in Terran vs Protoss, this is the build I'm working on. In Terran vs Terran, this is the build I'm working on. But in Terran vs Zerg, I'm gonna cheese. I'm gonna like do cloaked Banshee BS. You can have a matchup where you sort of dabble around in. I mean, when I played just Zerg, I was just focusing on each matchup with one build in each because I enjoy that. But you know, sure, really fun to just do some really fun experimenting when you play. I did have the problem that I lost like 8 TVPs in a row. But anyways. In your base is day 9. Do you think Terran was too aggressive after his push in the beginning? If he pulled back to a favorable position, would he have been able to deal with the Colossus better? How do you judge when to let off the pressure? Now, to be honest, I have been in a similar situation to Jimpo in other matchups before, where there is a scary unit that I don't want to come out, and I'm hoping to really kill him before said scary unit arrives. So in this case, the Colossus was the scary unit. Sometimes the best way to deal with that is just to cripple him, so that way when the Colossus does pop out, it's nothing and one Colossus against 20 Marines and a Ghost. Sure, the Colossus is going to probably take down 6 or 7 Marines, but now it's just 10 Marines and a Ghost, which is very hard to deal with for Protoss. So, I think that could have been an instance of him trying a solution that was a little too thin. God, I really need to kill him, because I know a Colossus is coming up soon. I gotta get in there. And the Colossus came out, and he was like, too slow. And he probably wept in whatever European language he spake. But I don't mind the idea of backing off once you know. And, I mean, to be honest, what I would probably do is I would say, if I were Jimpo, I'm going to try to push aggressively to kill him before he gets Colossus. And then when the Colossus pops out and smashes me, I would go, whoops, I guess I'll pull back next time. And really that whole pull back and move forward sort of thing, if you have a lot of experience, you can judge in the game. You can make the decision in the game by looking at it and saying, I just don't have enough stuff. For everyone else, that includes people like me. I'm not trying to claim to be like, oh yeah, if you're super good like day 9. No, screw that. I don't want to try to judge the situation on the fly. I'm just going to do what I've practiced. It's so much easier that way. Oh god, it's a lot easier that way. And then, like, to be honest, in-game, I have very little of my brain doing in-game decision-making. I have almost all of it looking at the minimap, trying to make sure I keep making probes, keep chrono boosting, keep making pylons, and just trying to execute the build in the way I want to, and then doing good unit control. That's what my brain power goes to. So I would not stress about what the signs are that you can see to when to pull back. The key is practice pulling back, practice attacking, and pick whichever one seems to be working better. And it might feel like there's a lot of stuff then, because it might say, like, I'm just going, yeah, you just practice everything. Should I make a drone on 29 or should I not? You should try both. I'm not quite saying that. When you are doing a build, like one build over and over and over again, it boils down to like 4 big issues you're having. And if you just do, all right, issue 1, try this or try that. Issue 2, try this or try that. Just do it one at a time. You'll really quickly get to a good solution. So there's really not as much practicing as I think I'm implying that there is. Oh my god. Wow. Eligo says, in daily number 30. Oh my god. I don't even know if I'd gone through puberty back then. That's a long time ago. You stress the importance of sticking with your plan in Brood War. Would you say that in Starcraft 2 this is often suicidal, or is there a certain level of okay, so it's like dynamicity. I'm just going to repeat that again. That word was so hard. Would you say that in StarCraft 2 it's often suicidal to stick with a plan, or is there a certain level of dynamicity implied? So, because StarCraft 2 is young, there are very few standards. I mean, in Zergras, Protoss, and Brood War, I can just say 5-hatch Hydra into Muta, and a lot of people know what I'm talking about. And that has a very clear path to it. Doesn't matter if you know what I'm talking about, but that is a really strict plan. But in StarCraft 2, we don't have those really fancy strategies. If I say something like, yeah, I went early expand, 5 racks Marine Marauder with tanks and Medivacs, you're thinking, well, what order did you do that in? Did you get 3 racks and then expand? Did you get 1 racks and then expand, and then get the factory, and then the starport, and then the other barracks? Did you just go 5 barracks after your expansion? I mean, there's no one has any standardness. But what I think is the most important key to take away from in the stick to your plan is that you want to be spending as much of your energy in the game on doing the build that you know is good. If you have a plan that you formulated outside the game, that frees up all this extra space in your brain in the game. And if you stick to your plan, you'll almost always be executing your game a lot better. Even the little one, who's very amazing at being fancy on the fly and seemingly coming up with amazing solutions at the time, he actually practices repeated builds a lot. Just practices them a ton. And to be honest, if there suddenly becomes weakness in that build, you might feel like, ugh, I have nothing now because I had one plan for 3 weeks. It turns out I don't like it anymore. I guarantee you that when you start developing Plan 2 and really fleshing that out, you'll have so much experience from Plan 1. And then after a while, you'll just be a very, very, very good player. Oh yeah, someone asked me where the sweatbands went. Yeah, my StarCraft 2 sweatbands. They were squeezing on my wrists, and I started to have tingling sensation in my pinky and ring finger, which is bad. But that's okay, I'll wear it. I'll be broy here in the final minutes of the daily. Yes, we have like 1 more minute to go, so I'll take 1 more question. Ooh. Okay, cool. So let's see here. KZN. Ooh, a regular. I will take regular questions because I like them. KZN says, Day 9, a Terran friend of mine has argued that there is no way for a Protoss fast expand build to hold off what he calls the 80 food push from Terran, which includes Ghosts and Heavy Marines. Do I agree or not agree? Is this why we rarely see FE builds in PvT GSL games? So, sir. I am curious about how playing against this push feels. Because I have never played against it, and I do a shit ton of early expanding against Terran. 80 food. When does that end up coming? I'm trying to think what sort of units I would have at this point in time. I guess I do generally get like an immortal. I guess that wouldn't be very useful there. I don't know because like I'm just not a big fan of these black and white things. I mean, for instance, you can say something like, if someone's all in with Marauders and you get a Banshee, that's a good move. Because it's very difficult for that Maraudering player who's all in to suddenly deal with an air unit. But, I mean, honestly, it's not like StarCraft is so simple as it's like a switch. Like, if he early expands, do the 80 food push, and you shall win. I just have to experience it. Because, to be honest, there's almost always a solution. Almost always. Trying to think of good examples of this that have happened. I mean, I have Brood War examples, but I'm trying to steer clear of those because, like, not a lot of people here play Brood War. Let's see here. What is a good example of this? Oh yeah. Here's most obvious example. Why did I not think of this? When the 5 Racks Reaper thing came out, most people said no way at all for Zerg to hold off 5 Racks Reaper. He's either going to die to the Reapers, and he's definitely going to die to the round 2 push. And now what are we seeing Zergs do? We're seeing Zergs like make no Zerglings and all sorts of drones and getting 2 queens really fast. And right when the Reaper shows up, a roach magically hatches. And they've held it off. And it honestly feels pretty easy if you have the timing down. The Reapers are annoying, and yeah, you have to pay attention. But it's not like the auto loss that people are talking about all the time. It's just annoying. So, I mean, it's kind of like this thing that, you know, I would assume that if players get good enough, they'll be able to scout this 80 food, so-called 80 food push, and just appropriately make the right set of units, because you can always start doing some really creative, goofy stuff. I mean, for instance, something that's, like, insane that I've seen people do is suddenly get way more gas than they need and get, like, 80 sentries. And spread them out, and yeah, the EMP can kill off the energy, but they just like cut it in half, like times a million. Like seriously, like they cut the Marines in half, and then the Zealots move forward, and those Marines that are behind the force field, they force field them in half. So there's like 20 Marines that are like a million feet away. They can't do anything, and the Zealots are just wailing away, Ali style. So you know that's gonna wrap up this daily. I have a build that I want to test out, so I'm gonna throw my sweatbands out. First, I'm going to eat chicken and rice. Oh, aren't you envious? And then I'll be back tomorrow with Fun Day Monday, where we get to see your carrier rushes. I cannot wait. See how excited I am? I drooled. Once again, Monday at day9.tv for Fun Day Monday reps, and Tuesday at day9.tv for Newbie Tuesday replays. Bye, guys! Au revoir. I'll see you later. Gonna stop my recording. Stop that one.